guys, I need to say something. I'm starting to get this little feeling that maybe Bobby, they call him Bobby Jr., wasn't the best pick for overseeing Health and Human Services. I don't know. I might be wrong, but it looks like that might go terribly, terribly wrong. I want to show you a clip of a Democratic representative just checkmating Robert F. Kennedy Jr. over his attack on vaccines, what he lied about and said he wasn't going to do. Before playing that for you, though, I want to bring in Brittany Page, who's going to help us after this clip make sense of some of the recent revelations with the vaccine steps by Robert F. Kennedy Jr., his betrayal of the American people, yes, but also Bill Cassidy, who was the deciding vote and getting him into power. Brittany, I hope you're doing so well.
Thanks for having me, Luke. I can't wait to find out. Was it a mistake to put RFK in a position of power to be in charge of our public health infrastructure? I can't wait to find out. Was it a mistake? Here we go.
He does do good push-ups.
Does he? I don't know. I haven't seen it.
Really? Oh, wow.
Don't care to, honestly.
That's like every time there was a criticism of Robert F. Kennedy Jr., right-wing accounts would go, okay, but, and they would just link to videos of him like doing pull-ups. Okay, what is that? Huh? Okay, so here's Kim Schreier, a Democratic representative, asking, and the context is that, again, Republican Senator Bill Cassidy, who's a doctor, had a lot of concerns about letting Bobby oversee all of these crucial medical scientific institutions, and said, I'm gonna sort of babysit him. I'm gonna vote for him because he's promised me he's not gonna do X, Y, or Z on vaccines and other things, but I'm gonna keep an eye on him. And so what Schreier does here is get Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to sort of allude to accusing Cassidy of lying about one of the commitments that Bobby supposedly made.
I know Senator Cassidy had concerns about your views on this. And so when he voted to confirm you as Secretary of HHS on February 4th, he explained that decision by saying on the Senate floor that, quote, if confirmed, you will maintain the CDC's Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices without changes. But then 2 weeks ago, you fired all 17 experts on that very committee. Mr. Secretary, question for you. Did you lie to Senator Cassidy when you told him you would not change this panel of experts?
I never made that agreement.
So are you saying that Senator Cassidy lied when he was on the Senate floor, lied to the American people?
I didn't see that statement by Senator Cassidy. I've only heard it from you. But if he said that I agreed to it, it would be inaccurate. I made an agreement with him. I made an agreement with him, and he and I have talked many times about that agreement.
My time. I just want to tell you that for most of us sitting here right now, we believe Senator Cassidy more than we trust you when it comes to vaccinations. It sounds to me like you gave him the answer he needed to hear in order to get his confirmation vote, and then as soon as you were secretary, you turned around and did whatever you want. You fired all 17 members.
I'm complying with all the agreements that I made with Senator Cassidy.
You're now on the record. You lied to Senator Cassidy. You have lied to the American people. You have lied to parents about vaccines for 20 years. And I also want to be clear that I will lay all responsibility for every death from a vaccine-preventable illness at your feet.
Oof. Yeah, that's the type of language that is needed, by the way, because I think we can talk about these things. It sounds very, vaccines and policy, the advisory committee, moves, and people sort of, without really grasping. We're talking about thousands to millions of lives that are going to be impacted and can be impacted by these policies. So what's relevant about that clip now?
There's several things. There's a lot that's been happening with this. And one of them is that Bill Cassidy, Republican senator from Louisiana, took the step of actually publicly making a statement. Now, this is something we've been waiting for because RFK has consistently, ever since he was confirmed, pushed the limits. And finally, this was a step too far, I think, for Republican Bill Cassidy, who put a statement out on Twitter and actually said that the people that he fired, that RFK fired, that were in charge of deciding which vaccines we get, when we should get them, this panel of 17 people, RFK fired them, and then he put into place half of that, about like 8 people, and he hand selected his own people who are anti-vaccine activists, most of them. And Cassidy put this on Twitter. He said, although the appointees to the ACIP have scientific credentials, many do not have significant experience studying microbiology, epidemiology, or immunology. In particular, some lack experience studying new technology such as mRNA vaccines and may even have preconceived biases against them. Goes on to talk about how these people are simply not qualified, and actually how a CDC meeting that was scheduled for Wednesday and Thursday of this week to discuss and give presentations about vaccines, that those meetings should not happen because the panel is not full. It doesn't have the full 17 members that it had. And also it's now filled with RFK's hand-selected anti-vaccine activists. One of those is a woman named Lynn Redwood. Now, Lynn Redwood is a scary figure. She is a nurse, and she's the former head of an organization that was actually founded by RFK, the Children's Health Defense. And that sounds like a nice little name for an organization, right? The Children's Health Defense.
Yes.
Who wouldn't want to? Who wouldn't want to? But it's actually an anti-vaccine activist organization. And this Lynn Redwood, she was actually giving a presentation to the CDC panel, the newly appointed CDC panel, handpicked by RFK, about the dangers of thimerosal in vaccines. That's what her presentation was about, and talking about the connections between thimerosal and autism, of which there is none. This has been studied. Again, these are debunked theories, but when you put anti-vaccine activists into place, this is what you get. And I believe you're highlighting it there, some of the evidence where this is just not found, these connections between ingredients in vaccines and autism. So she's giving a presentation to the panel on that. And we have, breaking news that actually happened just like an hour ago, that the new advisory committee on immunization practices, made up of these hand-selected members, voted against recommending flu vaccines containing thimerosal. Now, here's what I would say about this, because I think people are going to get scared. About 4% of flu doses in the United States are packaged in these multi-dose vials to lower the risk of them being contaminated. And those are the ones that have the thimerosal. Largely, flu vaccines don't have thimerosal in them. It's a very low percentage. So I wouldn't be too worried about this right now. I think it's more of a symbolic move to illustrate where they're likely headed. But they know the heat is on them right now because of Bill Cassidy's public statement, because of the reporting, because of people like you, Luke, talking about this on your channel, because of people like me who talk about it on my channel, because of everyone watching this who's going to tell people in their communities about what RFK is doing. That creates pressure so that they can't actually take actions that harm public health.
Yeah, that's right.
And I was at the bottom of my class. I started doing heroin. I went to the top of my class. Suddenly I could sit still.
Sorry, I didn't mean it. That was weird. That was so weird. My computer just played that. That was so weird.
I thought something was happening where the earth was shaking and like a rock wall was crumbling near me. That's how that clip, when it started, it just sounded like gravel being dumped into this room.
No,
it was very scary
we love
and abrupt.
Appreciate, we support. So you know what was really irking me? Okay, yes, anti-vacciners are going to anti-vaccine. This is really dangerous. We saw their changes to the COVID vaccine recommendations. Now they're going with the flu stuff. But what's so upsetting is you can only, if you slit your arm open, blood squirting out, and you jump into the ocean with a bunch of sharks, and you're like, come here, mushy, mushy, come here, and then it bites your arm off. Don't be bitching to me that your arm got bit off. And that's what Bill Cassidy's representing here. He's like, I'm really concerned that maybe this guy turned out to be anti-vax. Like, his whole career, Bill, his whole career, and you're responsible. Right. You are, for allowing him. You didn't have to do this, but you were such, I don't want to use that word again, you were a little wussy pants, and you were not able to stand on principle. You knew it was wrong, which is why you gave 13 bazillion caveats for your vote, and now you have partial responsibility in whatever consequences come of this. And I say again, RFK, if you want people to be eating less ultra-processed food, awesome. If you want to get people to do more push-ups, awesome. Why do you have to do what you know to be he at least has to think there's a chance that he's wrong, right? Given like all of the data all the time. And the amount of times that his own work has been so utterly debunked. And to put this at the center after he promised, and that's what's so, I don't know if he made that particular promise to Cassidy. I'm sure he did, but he did. If you watch his hearings, and we had a lot of them on, we obviously covered clips, but just in the background, and it came up so many times, and he kept trying to portray himself as, no, don't worry, the vaccine stuff, I know I had the, but I promise I'm not going to ruffle any feathers there. And he just lied. He lied under oath.
Yeah, absolutely. All of that, Bill Cassidy knew what this was. That's why he made a 10-minute statement explaining why he was voting yes, because he's a doctor and he knows what he was doing, putting this person in a position of power. And of course, now that RFK has this position of power, he's not going to give it up. He's not going to walk away from it. He's going to say whatever he needs to say to continue to have this position of power. And Republicans are going to defend him because he's beloved by the MAGA community. But also this Lynn Redwood, who he's hiring to the CDC, she's going to be working at the CDC, this anti-vaccine activist. It doesn't stop with thimerosal, her concerns. She also has concerns about aluminum. She also has concerns about mercury. It's not going to end here. And so while I said I don't want to scare people, and I think this is largely symbolic and indicates where things are going to be headed, and we don't need to be too worried right now, we still should be worried, because this is about people who don't care about science. These are zealots. These are activists, anti-vaccine activists. And I don't like where this is headed. I am scared. But hopefully, if we keep the pressure on, if we keep talking about this, we keep it known in the public what they're trying to do, then that creates pressure. And people like Bill Cassidy, maybe more Republicans, will be forced to respond to the concerns of their constituents.
Yeah. And also, I do just want to say, be concerned, be critical, be whatever. Yeah. These vaccine advisors now, all that's fine. It's just that what they do, because sometimes they're the knee-jerk response, like if a MAGA viewer were watching right now, they would go, see, they just want you to believe every consensus and not question. No, question out the wazoo. The problem is that a lot of the zealots, as we described them, these supporters of RFK's ideology and lack of scientific basis for it, they don't actually like getting the answer. They just want to have an answer and then go, I'm asking questions. But regardless of what the answer is they get through research, or regardless of what answers we've already gotten through studying these things, they hold the same view. And I'm just wondering, what the hell? I'm just wondering if vaccines cause autism. Ignoring all of the data that's already there. And it's one thing to kind of just say that in your personal life, like, I don't know, I'm thinking about it, I haven't thought about it, I haven't really looked at the research yet. It's a whole nother thing when you're actually responsible for the guidelines of vaccines for people. And so when you throw out these things, it matters. And it does, it's one of the rare things where literally just a little bit of doubt can lead to actual death. We saw this in certain things that people are dying from that they weren't at the same rates. Literally just because they're like, I don't know, I've heard a lot about vaccines lately, I'm just sitting out, and then they die from a vaccine preventable disease. And so it matters, even if it's just like you said, a warning sign now, less consequential things now, just kind of his constant spewing of that out into the world, it does impact people, because all it takes is them to go, because yeah, like getting something stuck into you and it squirting something in you, that wasn't the best wording, but you get the point, is can be
getting a vaccination, I believe, is what that we were going for there. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I just mean like the act of a sharp object stabbing your arm and then something literally going inside your body, like that a little bit of doubt can make that not something you want to do, right? You understand that anything actually being injected into you, any doubt, however unfounded, will cause people to just sit out on certain life-saving things. I wanted to get your take on this clip as we're on RFK, where he goes, I want everyone to have wearables like the Fitbits and trackers for your health information.
Diet, about their physical activity, about the way that they live their lives. We think that wearables are a key to the MAHA agenda, making America healthy again. And we are going to, my vision is that every American is wearing a wearable within 4 years.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary.
Okay, so that's such an interesting statement, because it seems so totally benign. And I also would love if everyone could afford to and would spend the time to keep up with all of their health indicators. That's great. But to me, and I saw a lot of medical professionals kind of indicating this, and public policy people too, explaining that this comes from such a place of disconnection from what the public policy solutions are to public health problems, because we're talking about people not literally having access to or being able to afford healthy, nutritious meals consistently, and the food insecurity in the country that is so prevalent. And so to say, like, I imagine that he hasn't even solved that problem, but we're already thinking about within 4 years everyone should have expensive watches on. Like, that's not even close to. It's the solution for someone who's already not really what the public policy should be concerned with. Like me, I might go, I need to get a new health tracking watch. That could help me be even healthier. But I'm already totally privileged to a place where my health is going to be in the top %, right? The people that we really need to implement public policy to fundamentally change systemically the health problems we have in the country, it's so many steps down the road having a watch on, when right now an expensive watch, that money would much better go towards nutritious meals.
Yeah, and everyone having access to a doctor and everyone being able to get healthcare when they need it. And I mean, there's so many other things that we could be doing before everyone has a watch that gives them information about their healthcare. And also, I'm a little nervous where that's headed. I mean, we know the Trump phone, the gold Trump phone. Is this going to be like we're all forced to buy a Trump branded fitness tracker and we're all going to have to wear it or we're going to be punished? I mean, yeah, it's a little scary. But yeah, there's so many other priorities. And given that he is a Republican appointee, he's working in a Republican administration, and this current Republican administration that he works in is seeking to cut things like Medicaid, cut things like SNAP, the very programs that actually improve people's health, improve access to health care, improve access to nutritional food. You'd think that he would be against the slashing of those programs, and yet here he is talking about how everyone needs a wearable.
Yeah.
Get me a wearable.
I'm trying to think of a good analogy. Like, just, it's something very bougie for before 500 different problems that would be addressed way before that. There's some good analogy, but I can't think of it. Brittany, I am devastated today because we don't have the sound. The soundboard is not working at this exact moment, so we can't give you. So let me just, it's Brittany, bitch. Do the sound.
Who needs one when you're here? Who needs that?
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
That was really good.
It sounded great.
Just remind people where they can find you.
You can find me right here on YouTube. Just search my name or click the link below.